Hi, and welcome to the last short lecture from Chapter 11 in your textbook. Today we're going to talk about saving face, and specifically we're going to talk about a form of perception checking behavior that allows you to communicate with people in a way that won't threaten them. Now, this behavior, or this method, is called Assertive Message Format, or AMF. And so AMF is simply a method for speaking your mind, letting people know what you think, in a clear, direct, but non-threatening way that expresses your needs, thoughts, and feelings clearly and directly, without judging or dictating to others. So all those concerns that we talked about regarding defensiveness in the previous lecture, right, those are addressed in assertive message format, and this gives you a way to work with people where essentially you're able to communicate directly, but in a way that doesn't threaten their face. So the first step in AMF is to provide someone with a behavioral description. So what you do here is you describe the behavior that's causing the issue. So, for example, John told me he would meet me for lunch yesterday, but I never heard from him. Now, what I want you to note here is that there's no interpretation in this statement, right? John told me he would meet me for lunch yesterday, but I never heard from them. All you're stating here are facts. You're not saying, "Oh, John's a jerk. He didn't meet me," right? You're not saying John didn't meet me for lunch yesterday because he blew me off, right? What you're doing is just stating the facts. After that, you offer interpretation. So an interpretation statement describes the meaning that you've attached to the person's behavior. And of course, these interpretations are subjective. They're going to vary from person to person. And you can attach more than one interpretation to another person's behavior. So an example, still dealing with John, who didn't show up for lunch, right? John must have forgotten about our lunch. I'm sure he values our friendship too much to blow me off on purpose. So this obviously is different than John blew me off on purpose. That makes me mad, right? Now both of these are interpretations, but this one, the top one, is far less threatening. Then you add an additional step where you describe feelings, right? So you see here, you'll see how these things start getting linked together in this example. When you laugh at me, so you're describing someone's behavior. I think you find my comments foolish. That's your interpretation of their behavior. And it makes me feel bad, right? So you have the behavior statement, the interpretation statement, and the feeling statement. Then you add a consequence. So in the consequence statement, you explain what happens as a result of the situation you've described. So again, here we are linking these things together, and you'll notice that they don't have to be in a certain order, right? But this one sort of combines all the steps. You probably don't know this because you couldn't hear her cry in interpretation. But when you practice your drums without closing the door, a behavior statement, the baby can't sleep. Consequences, right? Consequences. And I'm worried about her because she's been sick. There's the feeling statement. So you see how all these things combine together into one statement, right? Each one's a part of a statement. And then, right, you want to make sure that your intention statement communicates three messages, right? You want to let people know where you stand on something. You want to let them know what you're requesting of them, right? And then how you plan to act in the future. So that's the intention statement. So let's go back to our example here using these different parts. So where you stand on an issue. When you joke around and call me dumb, that's the behavior statement. I get the idea that you really mean it, that's the interpretation, and it makes me feel bad, so feeling. I want to know if you really think I'm dumb. That's the intention, right? The intention statement. Okay, so here's the request of others. So when I didn't hear from you last night, I thought you were mad at me. I've been thinking about it ever since, and I'm still worried. I'd like to know if you're angry. So you're trying to figure out their intentions, how they feel, right? All right, so things to remember if you're going to use AMF. It's okay to mix up the order of your statements, right? And you can word your messages to suit your style. You don't have to be as formal as some of these examples. And if it's appropriate, you can combine two different statements in a single phrase, right? You can combine them all into a single phrase if it works. And take your time delivering the message. Oftentimes people are really eager to express themselves, and they don't take enough time to think about what they're saying. Indeed, I think that if we all took a moment and thought about some of the things that we were saying to other people, we wouldn't say a fair number of them. Now, so that's one way that you can address your concerns to other people. So let's talk about how you can respond then non-defensively if other people are criticizing you, if other people have problems with you. So the first thing you can do is seek more information. You got to remember, you can listen to an angry message without agreeing with it. So that's, I see, you look upset about something. Did I do something? And then really listen to what the person has to say. Then ask for specifics. Now when you ask for specifics, be sincere and phrase your request carefully. Right? What did I do that upset you? Right? Now it's important that you seem sincere, because if you don't, then you're going to come across as a smart aleck, and this can generate more problems. And then if you have to, guess at the specifics. If your accuser can't supply details, if you're doing something that's making someone mad, but they won't tell you, or can't tell you what it is you're doing, maybe you can suggest some things. So, excuse me. To respond, further responding non-defensively to criticism, some ways that we can do it that are helpful. One of the things we could do is to paraphrase the speaker's ideas, to make sure that we both understand what's upsetting someone. Right? It seems like you're mad at me because I did. Is that correct? Right? So you paraphrase what the other person said to you. You say it back to them to make sure you understand it. Then just ask someone what they want. What can I do to make this better? What will make you happy? Right? Sometimes just asking people what they want is the shortest way to solving a problem. Ask about the consequences of your behavior. Like what? So if I do this, then how does it affect you? Right? Ask them if something else is wrong. If there are other things bothering them. If they give you a list of things, right, and some of them are factual, then you should agree with those facts. Well, I did say bad things about your mother last night, right? You should agree with things that you know to be facts. And also, it doesn't hurt to agree with the critic's perception, right? I can see why you'd be angry that I said those things, right? I can understand why that upsets you. So by agreeing with that, by acknowledging and agreeing with people, that's a confirming message, right? You're telling them, hey, listen, I acknowledge how you feel, and I understand why you feel that way, right? And these are all useful ways to deal with criticism. Now, of course, you should remember that these are hard. And so, again, I encourage you to take your time in dealing with others when it comes to conflict like this. Because it's hard to hear messages that are critical, and particularly hard then to be seemingly in agreement and understand where the other person is coming from. Okay, well that's it for Chapter 11. Thanks for checking this out. Bye-bye.